Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Angry Cast and Satisfactory. This will be our post-mortem. In a sense, we do this usually when we play games, and when we finish them, we go back and we have a little discussion about what we experienced, how it was, what do we think, recommendations. What are we doing next? For now, we're not going to be doing much of anything, as I am recording this as a voiceover because I'm just going to run around and just clean up everything, all the little mini factories that we had set up for the final push on the space elevator phase 4, and all those things that we needed to get done and to get everything set up. That's what I'm doing. I'm cleaning up everything because eventually, at some point, I'm going to go through, reorganize everything as I have it. And that's just for me. That's mainly for me, not for you, I guess. But I'm pretty much, after this video, I'm going to just remove the game from my hard drive just because I need space for other things, and we can get working onto a new game. I don't know what this is going to be yet, but that's neither here nor there. I initially resisted going into this because I knew, watching other videos, what I was getting myself in for. Satisfactory is a game that is basically there's no end to there's basically no end to the idea. Just in general, it's a clicker. It's a glorified clicker. It's a slick, layover, or overlay. Sorry. Wow. Layover. I'm not flying anywhere. It's a slick overlay on a clicker, in the sense that you start out with absolutely nothing but your hand tool, whatever you want to call it, and you just, you chisel off some items, and then you can just chisel more, and then you can construct things in your crafting bench, and then you can chisel more stuff and construct other things in your crafting bench. You can build something and then send equipment or parts or whatever else, these checked boxes on your your objectives for the tiers are all in the hub. And then once you get a little bit further, then you can automate that process and go to a bigger process. And then you eventually get to the point where you start to automate more things, and then it becomes unmanageable, because then you have to go back and reorganize how you were doing it before to do it differently. Now, going through and playing the game once, I have a better idea of what I would like to do if I played it again the next time. But the thing is with that is that, for me, I would probably not want to start completely over from scratch unless the game was in full release and no more updates were going to happen to that effect. And that's not to say that they won't have anything else. And I don't know what the developers' ideas are for what post-release updates are going to be like, what they're going to add, if they're going to add more content. When you look at the space elevator now, after completing phase 4, it just says unavailable in pre-release. Obviously, there's going to be more work to be done in the space elevator, and that will probably start to build off more of what we've already done. Maybe the things that we use to build the items for phase 4 will be needed for phase 5, if there is one, or the items that we built for phase 4 will then become a phase 5 thing. And that gets me into the idea that I need to have a better system for how I do this. Otherwise, it will become unmanageable, because each leg of the journey on the space elevator was something small, something big, something large, something extra large, each building on the previous thing, to where you need to have it's a Matryoshka doll, a nesting doll of all these other little things, all these other little objectives and phases that you have in there. And then at the same time, you have the same items that you need for other things. So you start out, it's like it's spider webs out from the center. The main components of iron, of coal, of limestone are at the center of everything, and it just kind of blooms out from there like a Mandelbrot and just goes completely crazy. So for me to want to start all over again, I would want to wait till they're done doing certain things, so I can know going in that I need to plan ahead for the end goal. Now that I know what that end goal is, didn't know what phase 4 was until you got to phase 4, or you looked it up on the wiki. So now I can make those plans better. My hopes and dreams are that we will find a place where we can go back, and I can take this objectively now and start to maybe provide a little bit more context around creating, planning. There's a lot of great videos out there that I have used to make the layouts, but it's more of a strategic idea then. My thing is always about, if I'm going to do a tutorial or if I'm going to do something along those lines, I want to have it be, here's the planning ahead. So what do I need to do? Where do I need to be? Where do I have to look at stage 1 in order to look at stage 4? And the game itself, I haven't explored probably half the map. I didn't even get to the desert. I didn't get back to the really didn't really look at the places where I started out in my playtest game, which I abandoned long ago. I think at phase 3 of the space elevator. I might start over again in that regard and do like the quote unquote creative mode where you've unlocked everything. Makes it easier, and you give yourself a bunch of parts, and then I can start to say, okay, if I'm going to attack this from a standpoint of, I'm looking at phase 4 already, because that's all we know of right now. Here's where I want to start building, and I want to do individual hubs of production, and then have a centralized repository for all of my items, and then go out from there. Everything flows into the central repository and then flows out, and then have redundancies on top of that, because that's what I end up having to do. I had to have redundant warehouses of what I call warehouses, just basically rooms with storage containers in it, of cabling. Those are the things you're always going to need. You're always going to need cabling. You're always going to need rotors. You're always going to need, reinforced iron plating. You're always going to need encased industrial beams or modular frames. All those things. You need to look at what are your fundamental building blocks and automate those processes to a large degree in order to not run out of them. And then you can build the other factories and then build on. I definitely would go back and do this where I have a large scale automated wiring factory, because of how much that is needed for. Stators and cabling for all that stuff, as well as the going through phase 4. My gosh, how many you had? What was it? 20-some thousand adaptive control units or whatever they were. Those little ball things. My gosh, those were rubber. Utilize all the locations of the map to start to augment power, to do everything else. And that would be my goal. But I'm not going to do that now, because we really don't have anything else we can do with this. Like I said, I really didn't want to get into the game because I knew the headaches I was going to. I can't wrap my brain around the complexity of having to stack upon stack upon stack of fundamental processes. And it's probably why I'm not a great project manager. Or I don't work in an IT silo where you're planning out for design for network or infrastructure design. I'm more of a reactionary, to the point where I'm reactionary, and then I find a way to do proactive processes to prevent things from happening, not the initial layout and design of things. And quite frankly, this is a game I would recommend to my coworkers to play in IT, to for when you're going to do layout and network design, because I think that provides you a little bit more of a abstract way of thinking, and if you can get your way around that. In fact, I would use this as maybe even a co-op building, team building exercise, to understand the fundamental ideas behind what you need to do to accomplish things in an IT department to keep things running smoothly and not have a lot of screw ups or a lot of mess ups or breakages or incidents or problems or anything like that. That's neither here nor there. So, that being said, we are going to close the door on Satisfactory. I will say this: the game is addictive. The only reason I got to where I was, and this is a two-prong approach. You either do one of two ways. You either do all these factories the right way the first time and get them all built and just let them do their thing, or you do what I do and you just leave the game turned on for hours upon. I left the game on overnight a few times to just build up resources. But when I got into trouble was I had a gap in the chain, the logistics of everything, the supply chain of item to production to another factory to do more production. There was gaps. Like my aluminum production facility was way far away, and everything I needed from aluminum to make all of the parts for the space elevator were, on opposite ends of where I was, where the hub was situated. That's not great, but I didn't take the time to set up a supply chain in order to, like, drones or the railways or anything else to do that. And I think that's going to be something fundamentally you will have to do if you want to do it the automated way. Mine was more just smash and grab, get things done, get it done, let the game build up over time, and then come back in, grab everything, running around. I wasted a lot of man hours of my own personal time doing that, and that's the other reason why I didn't want to get into the game, was because there was a lot of man hours that were going to be involved in me figuring things out, planning, pre-planning. Your inventory is, limited, all this other stuff. You have to understand where things are located. You have to, the unknowns will kill you on that. So that's, but I will say it's a beautiful game. It's great sound, great music, great soundtrack. The only thing, and I don't think this will ever happen, I do not believe that there will be a way that you could have this game have, randomly generated or, different maps. Now, the map itself is quite huge. I mean, you basically have scenarios like you would, say, a game like Stardew Valley, where you have different levels of complexity and difficulty where you start, where your farm. Oh, this farm has a lot of rock, this farm has a lot of trees, all that stuff. The map itself gives you the ability to start in different locations that add to the complexity of, hey, I'm just a new beginner, or I want to challenge, being in the desert where there's limited resources and you have to travel further. So I don't think that there's any desire to create a randomly generated map in order to spice it up for repeat play. That would be great for the replay value, but I don't think it's going to happen. Two, when you think about a game like this, and say compare to something like Minecraft has randomized resource placement to a point. At certain levels on the axis where things will generate, either above ground, below ground, whatever. Iron, diamond, all that stuff. When it comes to, but the thing is, though, you just grab and you carry back, or you set up and you carry back. It's not like there isn't a lot of thought process going into what you want to do and where things are located. It's boom, you get it done, you do what you need to do. But that's just a small piece of what Minecraft is. But Satisfactory, there's an overall goal to set up things, and the way the map is laid out, and I haven't even gotten to other locations, the map is probably laid out in a sense of each pod of, each region that you would spawn in. The layout and the location of the resources are probably geared towards the difficulty level of starting there in order to finish. Whereas, you start in one place, all the resources are really within walking distance. You can get everything brought back to where you need to do, and boom, you're done. Whereas in the desert or wherever it is, the most or the harder levels, you have to go farther. You have to be a little bit more creative, and that is part of the game. Is that I think that the map is laid out in such a way that as the designer or the developer, they see a clear path from point A to point B. This is what, this is intended, but you can go outside that. You can go outside those parameters. Be creative. But, we are providing you everything. There's a reason why blueprints are in the game. And there's a reason why blueprints are only the size that they are, either because of a limitation in coding based on, how the game is developed, or because they understand that you can do the entire game start to finish with that 4x4 cube to do a blueprint, and you can build onto that if you do it the right way. Like it's intentional the way they do it. It might be a limitation, it might be intentional, but I think that they know what they're doing when they've designed it the way they did. There's a clear thought on how you want to do things. There's a clear thought to where things are located in order to achieve your goals. That's why the map is always the same every time you play it. That's why you don't randomize it, because you can't control it as much. You might be able to say, okay, there are different biomes, and in these biomes I want to designate, these things group together within each other, however the coding and the programming works. But I don't think that you have the ability to go completely randomized to that point, and I don't think that they really care at this point. And it might be just, we've been working on this now for 3 years. We're almost at release, and we're done. We'll maybe add incremental things. I think they're ready to go on to the next thing, as far as I'm concerned, because we're already rotating through personnel as we've seen. So that's pretty much it. I want to say I have enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. I really didn't think it was going to start out, go the way it did. It started out, nobody cared, and then it kind of gained some traction in the views, and then it kind of got better. I still have one other video release after this, which is just a basic vlog post, because I went through and I did all the Fixsit stuff, but I didn't release it for certain reasons. I'll hold on to that and release it later. I'll just throw that in, because it's a vlog post. It can happen whenever. So, all right, that's it, everybody. Thank you for watching again. Please let me know what you think in the comments. If you liked what you saw, please, subscribe, watch other content. You want to help me out. There's links to merchandise in the description, as well as the Patreon, which I really don't pay attention to much. I would only not ask anybody to become a full-blood patron. I'd say buy me a coffee instead, and that's there too. So we're going to figure out something else to play. We're going to come back and do something different and hopefully more fun, and you'll enjoy that too. So thanks again for watching. Hey, everybody, remember to take care of each other, take care of yourself, take care of the planet. We'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.